Welcome, my conscious family. As you guys can see, I'm probably gonna name this video How I Became the happiest person I know, and how I became such an optimist, coming from someone who was a true pessimist most of my life. And it's gonna shock a lot of you guys. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but it's going to be coming from my heart. And I really, really hope that my story will inspire you. In a matter of fact, I know that it will. It's only important that you stay till the end. So cheers to that. I'm drinking the tea. A very good tea. I have a fireplace here. I mean, it's not real, but it's so cute. Anyways, you guys. So you probably heard about the burned toast theory. And I recently talked about this with one of my clients. And this theory basically says that if you burned your toast or something happened, something bad happened to you, you can always turn it into a blessing. And this is the story of my life. This is the story of how I truly rewired my brain in such a way that I just don't know how optimistic, like it just, wow, like the complete shift of how I used to be. So I will share with you one story of how when I broke my arm and how this was one of the biggest blessings ever. And first, I want to share something that is very emotional but important. And I know that you guys love to hear stories about me. Not only you, but every time I share, even in Serbia, it's like people really love to hear not how happy you are now, but in fact, how you got there. And I love to read those stories, and I love to see how someone was, you know, like an outcast, and now they turned it into a blessing. I love to hear those stories. So it's going to be one of those stories. Okay. So I was a true pessimist. I swear. I was thinking that happy people are simply people who don't understand the reality of life. I was a victim. I saw myself as the victim, and I lived my life accordingly. Many of you know that I struggled with mental health issues. When I was 18, I have been sexually abused, and this took a toll on my mental health. So for 2 years, I was on medications. I had anxiety and clinical depression. And I also was so skinny. I lost so much, like 10 kg in like 2, 3 months. And it really took a toll on me. And this was, I remember the feeling when it happened. And this is so vulnerable to share. I don't mean the abuse, but when all of these things happened, I remember thinking, finally, life is showing me that it's a fucking shit. And this is the little thing I want you to be very honest with yourself. The reality that we live in is a mirror of what we experience inside, how we see ourselves. And Neville Goddard talks about it. I'm reading one of his books now, and I love him so much. I can sign every word he says, to be completely honest. And he's talking about the Bible in his own words, of course, different than the society understood it. And I resonate with it 100%. And he's basically saying you will never, ever experience something that you are not conscious of being. And I was always feeling like a victim ever since I was young. Life was very tough for me. I was bullied in elementary school. I was bullied in high school. So I finished the final year. I finished the final year. I didn't want to go to school anymore because I didn't have any friends, and it felt like a prison. Every morning I remember waking up, it felt like a prison to go there. I felt so much anxiety to be around these people that I felt like I don't belong to. And they were teasing me, they were bullying me, never physically, verbally, and like jokes, but those were never actually jokes. You know how kids can be mean. And I just saw the world as a really bad place, and I didn't understand how someone can be happy. Like, how can you truly be happy if you know there is so much suffering in this world? And so when this major trauma happened in my life, I remember, I've never shared this with anyone, it's very vulnerable. I don't know if it's going to be misunderstood, but I'm just going to go for it. There was a piece of me that I felt almost happy. And I know that the right people will understand what I'm talking about. It's not the happiness, but the ego is satisfied when the identity is confirmed. So there is a part of you, it's very tricky, it's very vulnerable, it takes a lot of awareness. But when we get proof that we are right, even though we are right that our partner is a shitty person, even though we are right that money is, I don't know, hard to make, but when we are confirmed something that we believed in, we almost feel a sense of relief. I was right. The world sucks. And of course, I'm not saying I was happy. I was very unhappy. I was very unhappy. And it's actually crazy how happy I got very fast, because even 2020, 2021, I was miserable. 2022, things started to change. So now I'm one of the happiest person I know. And there has been many stories of the burnt toast theory. So many stories, but I'm gonna share some of them which are the most important. The one I remember, actually, I wanted to talk about my arm, but actually this is one of the best stories. Oh, I swear. So when I was taking that medication for 2 years, I finally stopped. And this is also, you guys, I have so many stories, and I actually think that like channel messages are great, but sharing those stories, I'm sure, would be so beneficial for you guys. It's just, I don't like to talk about the past that much. That's the problem. Like, not the problem, but like, I don't want to talk so much about all these life stories. There's so many. But I think they would help the most. I hope this is filming and the sound is good. I don't know. We will have to see. It's my new camera, so I'm just learning it right now, you guys, and a new microphone. Anyways, so let me share this story from 2017. So for a couple of years, I was free from anxiety. And then 2017, I had the worst anxiety ever. Like, I literally had panic attacks every single day. I remember, and I will never forget this, not because I want to remember the past, but because I'm so grateful for the mind that I built. It was 2017, and I just started having anxiety and panic attacks again. But this time it was even worse. I remember watching Friends one day, and literally the faces of the characters were like changing. Like I was having so much fear in my mind, that I was afraid of everything. When I say everything, I mean everything. I was shaking when I was going to the uni. I was shaking looking at the professor. I couldn't look at other kids because everybody was so scary. Everything was so scary to me. Like, some of you will resonate, but it's a world where everything is just scary. You are scared all the time. And there is no break. Like, I didn't have a break. I couldn't even sleep for months and months. And I remember one day I was talking to my mom and I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I just need to find a way to get out of this. And she told me, there is this psychiatrist and he's very famous and you should go see him and he's going to help you. And before you go to the psychiatrist, you need to see a psychologist and a sociologist in this hospital. And so I go to the psychologist and they're asking me, why do you have this anxiety? Like, what's wrong with you? And I said, I'm not sure, but I've been through this major trauma. And this is just one of those things that occurred in those years when I was battling with addictions. So it's not the only thing. There was a lot of things that occurred in those years that I was thinking took a toll on my mental health. But most importantly, I shared that story, which was very painful in that moment to share. So I'm crying, I'm sharing my story, she's writing it down. Then I go to the sociologist, and again, I'm sharing my story. Like, it was so hard, you guys. And I will never forget the moment I go into his office and he's sitting like smiling like this. And there were two women. There were college students who came to the, how do you call it? You know what I mean? Like a practical exam or something? I don't know. Anyways, I go inside and he asked me 3 questions. No, I asked him 3 questions. I said, do you know, doctor, why is this happening to me? Like, I really thought I'm never going to have anxiety again. Why is life so hard? Why is my mind doing this to me? And I was sobbing and crying. And he actually had the paper with my story in front of him. So he knew what type of a life I had. And I was 23 at the moment. And he said to me, well, you're a woman, and women, they have a weak nervous system. So that's why. I was like, but can you help me? Like, can you please help me? I can't live like this anymore. And he looks at me and he said, do you think I'm a wizard? I'm not a wizard. I don't have a wizard stick to just help you. And I said, so what is the solution? And he said, well, you're probably going to have this your whole life because you're weak. Your nervous system is weak. You're sensitive. And you're going to have to take medications your whole life. And I remember going out of that hospital. Those 2 women were laughing and smiling, and they were flirting in front of me. Like, my life is not important, and what I'm saying is not important. And I remember going out of that hospital. It was a warm summer. It was summer. Spring, between spring and summer. And I remember going out and I fell on the grass. And I was crying and I was calling my mom and I was like if a famous doctor told me that I am weak, that I will live like this forever, then who am I to say otherwise? You know, I was just I was just feeling so defeated by life. I just didn't see the way out at all. It was like a burnt toast 100 times more. And anyone who was battling with mental health, you guys know, it's a prison. I mean, it's not a real prison, but it seems so real in the moment. And I remember that day I decided that he's going to be wrong. And this moment and this story and this thing that happened to me and this guy who told me that I am weak and that I will have to drink medications my whole life because I'm too sensitive. This bad thing that happened to me, including anxiety and panic attacks, was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because that day I decided he is going to be wrong. And I never took medications again. I told you when I was 18, I took them. But this time when this doctor told me again to go back to meds till the day I die, I decided that he's going to be wrong. And I told myself, I don't care what it takes. I don't care how much time it takes. I don't care if I need to put all the money I make in it. I am going to get better. I am going to get better. And I still remember that power, and sometimes I miss it. That's why I love those situations when I broke my arm, because I love that power. And it's so easy to be so optimistic when things are going great. But can you truly be optimistic when things are going shit? That is when you show that you are a true Viking. That is when you show that you're a true main character. I'm so passionate about this that I forgot to say, guys, subscribe to my channel, like the video. It helps me so much to continue making these free videos. So many of you are watching, you're not subscribed. Do so. It helps me so much. Click the notification button so you can get notified to watch my videos first. And if you want to work with me, the links are in the description box. In the pinned comment, you can book a free discovery call if you want to have a coaching sessions containers with me. Anything, if you have any questions, ask in the comments. I'm the one who is reading it. And I really hope that this is, yeah, the sound is not moving. That's why I get a little bit like, okay, I think it's actually moving. I don't know, because the time before it was moving more, so let's just cross fingers. Anyways, so what was I saying? Yeah. And I remember that power. I felt so weak. And of course, I didn't know 100% that I was going to get better. You know, that's the thing. But I just knew that I'm not going to live like that anymore. I'm not just going to wait, you know, God have a mercy on me, because I know what God is, and God is not some guy who is judging me. God is the consciousness. So you have to read this book of Neville Goddard. He's the God, like, I swear. The way he explains it is just wow. So what I'm trying to say is, at the moment I said, I'm going to do everything. I'm not going to live like this. I'm not going to suffer. I'm not going to be a victim. I couldn't do anything. I was suffering extremely. Like, I just don't know the worst feeling of that, when you are literally in the prison of your mind. Like, I just, like, constant fear, constant anxiety, panic attacks daily, calling 911, going to the neighbors, just like exhaustion for months and months. And I decided no. In that moment when that guy pushed all my buttons, and that was the end of me, when he said that, that was the end of the old me. I said, no, you're not going to be right. And I started doing yoga, meditations, ETF tapping. I started listening to frequencies. I stopped watching all the movies, everything. I was just listening to healing frequencies all the time, just moving my body and crying and releasing. And for months and months, I didn't see any change. And this is where most people are wrong. You don't see the change. The change happens instantaneously. In the moment I decided I'm going to do everything to get better. I don't care how much time it takes, I am going to get better. In that moment, the change is already made. And the time, 6 months, that it took for me, it's just the time in the physical reality that it takes for me to experience that reality of freedom. But this change happened in the moment, and it always happens in the moment. And that is where most people go wrong, because they want to see the change every day, a little bit of change in the reality. Like I should be feeling, I was of course feeling a little better. Like, don't get me wrong, of course I was feeling a little bit better. But I wasn't seeing real change in the terms of like, I don't have panic attacks anymore, or I'm sleeping better. No, just a little bit of change, like 5%, But I was just doing it, yoga for anxiety, meditation for anxiety, everything. I was just reading books. I started seeing a psychologist, like talking to her about my traumas, just talking and crying and releasing and processing all the fears and emotions. And then one day, I remember I was walking in Poland and I was thinking, God, I didn't have a panic attack in almost a month. And that's when I realized how important is intention, decision, trust, and faith, believing in yourself more than anyone else, even if it's a famous doctor. And I just want to say this is my own personal story. I'm not saying don't trust your doctor. So I don't want my words to get twisted in any way. This is my own story. I'm sharing my own personal story in hopes it can benefit someone, but I'm not at all saying don't see the doctor or don't take medications or anything like that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. So please, this is just me sharing my own personal story. And I realized the power that I have and the power that spirituality and personal development can have on a person's journey. And this is when already I started to realize that I want to help people. I didn't start it that year, but this is definitely a burnt toast theory for me, because I realized how consistency and just trusting and doing it and showing up every day, no matter not giving up, the importance of not giving up, the importance of having the faith in yourself, because you are God. Okay, God is not outside of you. God is consciousness. And the way that Neville Goddard explains the Bible, it's just, I don't know, just wow. So read his books, please. Read his books. It will set you free. And I hope this story inspired you. I have so many. This is just one of them. But I have so many, and I truly trained my mind so much over the years that right now, even if something bad happens, I immediately, my brain thinks of the silver lining. And I just want to tell you, if you're struggling right now and suffering, I promise you there is a way out. And I promise you there is a life filled with blessings and love and presence and freedom and ease. And it all starts with you taking that decision that you're no longer going to suffer, because it's a decision. And when you decide that you will do everything it takes to stop suffering, everything in the universe goes in the way to show you that you're right, that you can stop suffering. And so I haven't experienced suffering in a really long time. I can totally say that I am a completely different person. But in the same time, I am completely myself. I don't know if that makes sense for you, but it feels like coming back home. And this is available for you too, because things are not black and white. And everything that happens in our life, every single thing, I don't care what you can mention in the comments, I am going to find a way to tell you that it can be the best thing ever. Really. Like I'm a person that literally, I may seem like a fairy dust, mermaid kind of girl, but I'm a very, very rational girl as well. And I always go to the extreme. And when I'm learning about spirituality, I want to go to the extremes. Like, what is the purpose of the school called life? Like, what is the final purpose? I want you to explain to me, like, what is the final purpose? You know what I mean? Like, what is actually God? And what do you mean by I am God, but God is bigger than me? Like, I am a very, very, I want to understand. And I go to the extremes. And I can say, whatever happens to me, even if it's going to sound funny and probably a little bit crazy, but I just want to show you how much I'm going to the extreme. Even if I change and I'm not on the planet Earth, it's still the best thing that could ever happen. I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out, because I believe that a soul's journey is coming to the life for a reason. And when this purpose and the lessons are done in this lifetime, the souls go back. And so everything that happens is a learning. When the times, oh, okay, the camera said that it needs to cool down. Maybe I put a lot of temperature in this house. Anyways, you guys, I really hope this was helpful. And I really hope you can understand that life is always going to have so many burnt toast and so many things. But the most important is you and your power and your energy and your determination and your intention and your decision. The moment you decide something, it is already done. Always remember that there is no greater power. You know, when you get to that point and you're so sick of the person you're with, and then you say, I'm going to break up. I am breaking up with him. I am done with this BS. That is the moment everything shifts. You choose yourself. You know, the moment you set boundaries, you say, no, this is the moment you literally enter into a new reality. And this is something I have mastered. No one in this world can do anything to me, because I know that I am responsible for everything. I am responsible for my perception, my emotions, my mind, my body, for everything. I am 100% responsible. And I can be, do, and have everything that I am conscious of. I can always change my state of consciousness, and I can. Okay, I don't know what's wrong, but it said that it needs to cool down again. So, anyways, you guys, I'm just so thankful for this YouTube community. You have no idea. And I just want you to know that I'm planning something very, very big. I am creating a program which is going to be somewhere around the spring. It's going to be ready. But this program will help you to become literally the master of your mind, your energy, your body, your focus, to become the leader that you're supposed to be, to fulfill your destiny and why you are here. So you will learn all of this in the program, and I can't wait to make it. So stay tuned, follow me on Instagram also, and sending you lots of love. Stay conscious and remember to have fun.